Welcome back, everybody, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSperts, where your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me, as always, Mr. Andy Molitor, and it is a sad day. No more Coolio.
Yeah, that happened live during the deep dive last night, so a little disconcerting, but nothing lasts forever. We lost the Queen, we lost Coolio. Things happen like that. I was regaling some people in a chat of stories. He came and played in our small town. Apparently, it was time flies when you get old. Like people, when you're young, it's like, oh my god, Christmas is gonna take forever to get here, and it does. It seems like November and December take like 10 years. Honestly, I'm like, yeah, Coolio just came to town. That was 2012, apparently. I went and found the news article. I'm like, shit, time is slipping. I'll be gone before you guys know it. But yes, it is RIP, a big part of my childhood. That was like some of the first hip hop that you kind of caught the mainstream. Like he was like, Fantastic Voyage was like legit on MTV. It was not much hip hop that made it into the mainstream before that. So kudos to him and shout out a great career. And we'll try to keep our betting careers going today. How's it been going this week? I haven't bet on much. Like, just it's been a light week of betting. I do want to. I ask you a question, then I start talking. That's a thing I always do. I seen Patrick in the chat. Had to point out Patrick's having a good week. He said Brewers run line, Brewers money line. They won 5-1. Congrats to him. At least someone's doing well.
Yeah, tennis has been pretty good this morning. Not so much. We've got another first half total here. Titova had a good start, Andy. She won the first game, but has not won a game since and is serving at 5-1. So we need a hold here, a break, and then a hold. So probably going to end up with a tough start today. But we do have one more match tomorrow. Again, it's the end of the week. Not too much in terms of matches left or even lines that are up. Parma, the last match there, is just underway. Did play Bogdan in that match. Again, if you've got a chance to go in and bet that live now, unfortunately, she broke first. So hopefully you saw me post that, but she's a favorite here. If Begu does break back, go ahead and grab Bogdan live here, plus money or anything near even. I like her to win that match outright. But tomorrow morning, Krejcikova, Haddad, Maya, and this is a bet that I think is going to cash really easily in 2 sets or lose painfully in 3 sets. These two women, as competitive as their matches are, as good a servers as they can be, really generate some of the quicker sets of anybody in the WTA. And thought about maybe going with the first set under, but those prices are generally juiced to crap. I was seeing minus 130, 35, minus 125. If you do, for some reason, have an under 9.5 games in the first set at minus 10 or better, let me know. That would be a great bet, but just not seeing that anywhere. Under 21.5 here again. This should be a pretty smooth number. Even if there is a 7-5 or something in the first set, the second sets of these matches have been fairly quick, as they tend to be in the WTA. So, yeah, just give me the full match under tomorrow.
Tomorrow early. So if you bet this, bet it today. Beatriz with a Z, right? Beatriz?
Yes, Beatriz, Haddad,
Beatriz Z. So not much action there. Anybody in the Discord for BetSperts Golf, which I've repeatedly mentioned, only $1 a month if you want to go over there and see everything I'm betting as I finally get my shit together yesterday and get my final bets in. I played 4 full tournament matchups. One was I've made a huge mistake, Job kind of thing. A couple of other ones are going pretty well, but I ended up with 6 round 1 matchups. Kelly, our friend, Big Ten Watto, kind of made the joke on his Twitter right now about how he always leaves winners off his card. I'm very adamant about not ever limiting myself. Like if I opened up the sports book and there were 30 round 1 matchups and I saw an edge on every single one, I would probably have to go look like, hey, that's unusual. But I'm not ever going to be like, oh, I like 8 today. That's too many. I need to cut a couple of these off. No, I make numbers and I look at subjective things as well. And if I make it value, I'm going to bleep and bet it. So I ended up with 6 of those today. Most of them have started. I do have some stuff that doesn't start till later in the afternoon. Already went over the Henley-Thigala matchup, but I have a full tournament matchup as well. I want to talk about a couple of maybe names that aren't usually coming out of my mouth, but it's going to be that way this week with some of these guys. David Lipsky. David Lipsky is a fella I've bet a little bit here. Very, very good with his driver as far as the accuracy. Struggled mightily tee to green over in California 2 weeks ago. I think he's better than that. He played great at the Wyndham. He played pretty well at John Deere, some of these lesser events, Rocket Mortgage. I don't think he made it up to Minneapolis, but he should be fine here. And again, this is more of a Will Gordon fade. There's a bunch of these guys that are Corn Ferry graduates. So if anyone doesn't understand the Corn Ferry, it's basically the minor leagues. Like once you do well enough on the Corn Ferry, you can make it into, you can get your PGA card. Corn Ferry Championship a couple weeks back. Exactly how far back was this? 9-4. So 3 weeks ago, the Corn Ferry Championship, he played well. But again, this is a guy making a big jump up, whereas Lipsky's already played most of the summer with the big boys. In fact, it's been 2 years since he made the jump up. So Will Gordon, I'm not totally sold on some of these Corn Ferry guys, and this price is a little silly to me. So what did I get for a price? It was a dog price, plus 117. I think it got depressed a little based on the Fortinet kind of performance from Lipsky. And Patrick says he can't hear Lipsky without thinking about Burn After Reading. That's a movie I haven't watched in quite a while. I do like Brad Pitt in that one quite a bit. And then this one is just for today. And I mentioned that one because it doesn't start till later. You got an hour or two before Lipsky tees off. Gordon is a very late tee time. This one is almost the very end of the tournament. These are like 3 p.m. tee times. Davis Thompson, Robbie Shelton. This is the same kind of thing, except both of these guys were Corn Ferry graduates. They both played in the championship a few weeks back. They both actually played in the Fortinet. Davis Thomas, top 10. Shelton had a nice performance as well, but just kind of looking, and it's very hard for me to take Corn Ferry stats and take them seriously sometimes. They've both won events within the last few months. Davis Thompson won one in June. Robbie Shelton's won a couple. I actually bet against him at the Fortinet in a price or in a round matchup at some point. I'm gonna have to go back and look at my odds there, but it's more of a. I think this one was more based on second shot stuff. I think looking at the Corn Ferry stuff, and again, maybe I'm not any good at this. We're gonna find out. I do think Davis Thompson is going to be a better tee to green player once we're up at the big leagues here. Robbie Shelton getting a little too much shine just based off a couple of KFT wins. So taking him at minus 110, that is just a single round matchup for later on today. And I'll cheer for everything else. Let's go Andrew Putnam. Most important thing to me that happened today, Dylan Fratelli needs to continue to suck because Bookmaker and BetOnline have 2 different sets of round 1 matchups for them. There's some crossover, but there's chunks of them that do not match. And I will run my numbers, and I will bet anything with value. And sometimes I don't even realize I'm doing this until I type them all out in the Discord. But I did bet against Dylan Fratelli twice. So I have 2 Dylan Fratelli fades with Putnam and Adam Hadwin. So, and Putnam just birdied as I said this. I shouldn't even fucking utter his name. God, Andy, what are you thinking? He's still several strokes behind. He's 5 strokes behind Putnam. So Dylan Fratelli, how many holes do you got left, buddy? Looks like you just completed the 14th. Just continue to flounder. Yeah, just kind of cruise par from here on out. I don't think Hadwin or Putnam's falling down that far. None of my outrights are really doing much, but a couple of the ones that I had a lot of hopes for, Henley and Griot, have not teed off yet.
I can dig it. A lot to unpack there, and a lot to unpack in this football game tonight. I mean, I guess we'll start with Tua. Do we think Tua's playing?
Yeah, I'm almost certain. He's been soft announced in. Like, there's always the chance that he comes out for warm-ups and just isn't there. But it does feel like it's 95% Tua. Again, it's not a bad backup. You still have a pretty good backup in Teddy Two Gloves there. So it's not like some huge drop off, but yeah, I do believe we're going to see Tua. The number came down a little off the 4 back to the 3.5. Anybody who
Yeah,
joined the
touch
deep
four and
dive
a
on,
half for a little bit.
yeah, it did, and it got a little spicy there. But yeah, anybody who's in the Sunday deep dive, you will know that we obviously took some Cincinnati on the other side of 3. I'm just standing pat on that. Some
Yeah.
good points from some people, including a guy we talked to who played some college football and talked about games like this where it says recovery is so hard on a short week like this, where you had a long week where you got the shit beat out of you physically. Maybe it was in a hot game like that, hot heat, humidity, and then you have a short week where you're just recovery isn't there. He's like, those legs are going to be so tired in the second half. So
Yeah,
see you
Cleve
at
TA.
halftime.
Yeah, Cleve TA put out something that was kind of interesting. Apparently, only twice since 2000 his defense played 90 plus snaps and then turned around to play again on Thursday or Friday. The Bucks allowed 43 to the Falcons in 2016, and then in 2022, looks like the Saints allowed 33 to the Vikings, and the Miami D again played 90, 91 snaps the other night. So yeah, pretty exhausted. But so you're not thinking about middling at all, like even if you're somebody that say has like a minus 115 money line in your pocket.
No. If I had to, honestly, if I had to play this, it's probably going to be like Cincinnati Bengals team total over second half.
Yeah.
Just like looking for them to get weird with it against some tired legs, kind of impose their will, show that this offense is indeed back against what is supposed to be a decent team. So I'll probably just stick with my original position. I don't hate a team total over 26. I think this offense is going to play well against a very tired defense who not only traveled on a short week, but had to travel at a different time. They traveled early, not the usual because of the hurricane wanting to get out of there, make sure they can make it to Northern Kentucky. So, and the Bengals, above all, are wearing the white Bengal uniforms, which is cool to everybody but Siegfried and Roy. And I don't see how they lose in those jerseys. Jesus Christ, guys. So, most importantly, I'm just going to be betting first touchdown scores.
Might as well. And it was funny listening to you talk about kind of chopping yourself down. And there's still actually two names. I've got 6 here. There's 2 other names that I've been thinking about long and hard. They got cut, but they might get added later. I will have a chance to do the first touchdown scores space with Vegas Refund. We'll be on at 7 p.m. tonight. So listening to that to see if I decide to add anybody here. But just a lot of names that I really like on the board. And part of it is the dynamic of the fact that the Miami Dolphins have 2 wide receivers that combined have 60% of the team's total targets. You look at the top of the list here, it makes perfect sense. There's Jalen Waddle. There is Tyreek Hill, right? And they're soaking up just a ton of target share. But you start to look down the list in terms of the Dolphins specifically, not a lot of red zone targets for one of those guys. We'll talk about that a little bit in a second. On the other side of the ball, you got Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon, and even T. Higgins, especially with how big of a favorite the Bengals are sliding out to be. Those guys just soaking up a bunch of value here. But going to start with Hayden Hurst, a tight end here for the Bengals, just getting a ton of looks, just 2 targets behind T. Higgins here for the total season. You look in terms of the red zone, he's number 3 in receivers there with a pretty big lead, actually, over anybody behind him. Hayden Hurst is there. So just somebody that they look for quite a bit. And as good as the Dolphins defense has been in certain spots, tight ends have actually done pretty well against them. So give me Hayden Hurst 15-1. And then we jump into some bigger numbers. Mike Thomas, another Cincinnati Bengal, just close behind Hayden Hurst in targets in terms of the red zone and full season. Mike Thomas, not Michael Thomas, Mike Thomas. And I imagine that's probably tough being one of those guys who has to change your name. Maybe he wanted to be Michael. Anyway, yeah, Mike Thomas, 25-1. Again, has gotten a couple looks in the red zone this year, has been somebody that, and you look at kind of defenses, they know they have to guard Chase. They know they have to guard Higgins. So being that third guy floating around, especially near the red zone, has been pretty good. He's already got a touchdown this year. I don't believe it was a first touchdown, but like him quite a bit. Joe Burrow, who has rushed for a touchdown in his NFL career. I don't know what the heck Cal was looking at today.
Despite reports to the contrary, yes.
Yeah, 27-1. Again, just going to keep playing him. He gets about 2-3 rushing touchdowns per year. They continue to hang 27-1. A lot of those, I believe 2 or so of those touchdowns each year our first touchdown. So again, we just need one of these this year, and it's going to happen. And then this next person, River Kraft, which is not a fake name. He is a real player. You may not find him on the Miami Dolphins depth chart because they just brought him up from the practice squad. They seem to do this every week. He's played the first 2 weeks. He missed week 1. He played 2 and 3. We'll be playing tonight again, was activated off the practice squad, and has a pretty unbelievable statistical anomaly here, Andy. He has 3 targets this year. How many of those 3 targets do you think were in the red zone?
All of them.
How many of them do you think were touchdowns?
2.
Correct. Very good. You probably cheated and pulled it up. Maybe
no, I remember him. I just remember him. I didn't think he had 3. I feel like there'd have been more hubbub about 3 goddamn touchdowns, but I know he had more than 1. So look at me doing deductive reasoning.
At 30-1 or better here, it really sticks out to me as an anomaly. For some reason, the way they're using him in packages, he's getting open in the red zone in productive ways. And again, teams are just trying to guard Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle down there. There's a ton of space on the field. Tua Tagovailoa, I'm mostly betting this at books where I know I'm going to get refunded if he doesn't play. I know FanDuel does that. MGM does that. I think just about everybody does it, but just double check and read the rules in case he doesn't play. Again, another guy who rushes for a touchdown or 2 every single year. And then mostly because it's the year of the fullback, and he is getting some work. Has at least 1 red zone target, has a couple red zone rushing attempts. Alec Ingold, again,
real person.
Real actual person who plays football here. Sorry, just trying to find his numbers here quickly. For the Miami Dolphins, again, has had a handful of rushing attempts in the red zone yet. Don't believe he has a touchdown yet this year, but one is coming. And again, there's some really big numbers out there. There's an 80, there's a 90, there's plenty of 50s and 60s and things like that. So definitely sprinkle there a little bit. And thought about maybe doing the Dolphins tight ends, Gesicki and Durham Smythe, but both are in the high 20s, low 30s, and the Bengals have been really good against tight ends this year. So we'll stick with these 6 guys, and maybe I'll end up adding somebody else, but we'll see who VR has as well at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, and if I have a Bengals ticket, but if Alec Ingold were to score the first touchdown, I wouldn't be too upset at this point. Because I have some 80 on him was what I found this morning. So we ride at dawn, guys. So and then real quick, just perspective. If you're having a bad Thursday, just go watch the home run last night. At least you're not that guy. Like, try harder. Like, he could have bent a lot further over that railing. It's real kind of laissez-faire attitude towards, like, I'll just bend over a little and try to get. No, I'm going over the railing from that thing under and basket, 2 hands on that ball.
I'm just going.
I might be in the bullpen. The best tweets about it too are Sarah Walsh, who married to the bullpen coach who caught the ball eventually, and jokingly told people on Twitter she was retiring, and then saw a video of him returning the ball to the Yankees and jokingly said, well, maybe not, jokingly announcing her divorce as well. So that ball was probably worth $2.53 million is what they're saying. Oof. It has been an enjoyable 12 hours on Twitter, though, with everybody relitigating the McGuire Bonds so sad at cork bat, which was kind of fun, but
still the most fun season of baseball.
I remember I was saying that to Dan. I said, how do you explain to someone who's younger, like a Zoomer, a 20-year-old, how big I was talking about the OJ trial, like how big the OJ trial was the whole
Imagine
year.
If they stopped everything on YouTube. They stopped everything on YouTube, and it was just OJ, the OJ trial. Like, that's how you have to explain it, because no one watches cable anymore. But like that's what the trial was, and that's what the McGuire Sosa thing was. I remember them breaking into the news. If you're watching any of the big national networks and later in the season, they just stop it. It's like, oh, here's Mark McGuire.
It wasn't bat. Even
like, not even he just hit a home run. Here, he's going to take a bat.
Yeah, it wasn't like, just ESPN. They were like breaking in on, whatever networks they could that had the rights to that. Like, it was a big fucking deal. It wasn't just the sports section. It was the front page of the papers. Like 98. Was it 98? I feel like it was 98. Somewhere in there. It was goddamn fun. So I don't care. Everyone should take steroids all the time.
Juiced balls,
awesome.
PEDs, whatever pitchers got to do to make bigger, weirder curves. Let's do it. I want to see crazy. I want to see crazier pitches and more home runs.
You know why people take drugs? Because they're awesome. Well, if you're a kid, you shouldn't be watching this anyway. It's about gambling.
Don't do drugs as a kid, but when you get older, do drugs.
Make your own choices. And if you want to hit dingers, you're going to need some clear and you need some cream. Talk to my guys at Balco. And with that, we are not affiliated to the Bay Area Lab with
don't do steroids. Don't do drugs unless you want to.
With that, we'll.
Thank God somebody stopped us.
Yeah. Producer, that's on the producer. He should have stopped us minutes ago.